YouTuber merch. Oftentimes it seems like every YouTuber is contractually obligated to only spend 5 minutes on their merch designs, which I think is silly. So I figured it might be kind of fun to just make a bunch of bootleg merch designs for a bunch of different YouTubers. Some are good, some are bad, some are kind of mean, but we'll get to those. Who cares? You get the premise of the video, you read the title, let's just start the video. First up, we're going to be doing a design for Vsauce. I wanted a really ominous photo of Michael to use, so I found this one from his Instagram, so I'm just going to cut it out real quick, mess with the levels a little bit, add a paper texture, and just to make it more ominous, we're going to give him some beady green eyes. Add some text that says Vsauce, make the V the same shade of green as the eyes. A lot of Michael's videos usually have a very compelling but kind of ominous question as the title, and considering how menacing he looks here, I wanted the shirt to have the tagline of "How much pain can a man withstand?" And just to top it off, we're going to add an ink splatter and make that ink splatter the exact same shade of green as everything else. And there we go. Not to toot my own horn too much, but I am actually pretty happy with this design. It looks pretty sick. Up next is a design for Jerma. There's a lot of great pictures of Jerma, obviously, but I got it narrowed down to these two right here. I decided to go with this one because it's just a little bit more scary, but we can make it way more scarier. We're also going to black out the whites in the eyes just to make it even more ominous. Add some nice bold text in front that just reads Jerma. Add a little 985 underneath. And even though this design is simple to the point and I could totally call it here, I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by not adding sus guy to it, so there you go. Honestly, if Jerma sold a shirt like this, I think it would do really well, but that's just my opinion. Up next is a design for Fred. We're going to be basing it off of this iconic shirt design, and seeing the backwards R immediately made me go, okay, well, this has to be a Korn parody. So we get the face from the previous design, a little bit of face tattoos, type out Fred, warp that text a little bit, and there we have it. This design looks like something that like Spencer's Gifts would have sold in like 2012. I also made this design as well, which is supposed to be based off of Korn's guitarist, and it looks kind of stupid, so I like the other one more, but I wanted to briefly show off this one. Moving right along, we have Jacksfilms. This one's going to be a little similar to the Jerma one. We're going to find a nice photo of him, put him in a nice little film festival wreath branch thing, give it a nice established in 2006. Considering he has films in his name, I kind of felt like the Broadway font would be the most fitting for him, so we're going to have a nice Jacksfilms arching over top. But Cooper Black is his signature font, so right underneath it, we're going to add his signature catchphrase, YGS every Friday, and there we go. It's simple, it's to the point, it's kind of funny, and it looks kind of cool, so I like it. Up next is a design for a smaller channel, and frankly a channel that's like not really that good. It's this guy, Crustbag. Just very mediocre content all around. I don't recommend it. So we're going to start off with his logo, and even though it looks really cool, for this particular design, I kind of wanted to do something with the little cross in the middle. So I'm going to highlight it, make it black, and then give it a white outline, and honestly, it looks pretty sick. I kind of wanted something based off of the Transylvanian Hunger design, but I wanted the candles to be replaced with like a computer. So I got a computer, did a bunch of stuff to it. I replaced the disc slots with crust and bag, and for the screen itself, I wanted to just have my YouTube channel. And then I took a lovely photo of me and did a bunch of stuff to it. And the tagline for this one was obvious, so I went with uploading cringe. Added some lovely frames, and there you go, that's the design. I ended up liking this design so much that I decided to print it on a shirt. In fact, I printed it on a few shirts, actually. I lied to you. This 3-sided long sleeve, $27. It even says mildly amusing video essays down one of those sleeves, and even though this isn't a video essay, that's still kind of funny. I do have some bad news, unfortunately. Sadly, this is not the only shirt I'm going to be selling because, unfortunately, I'm also selling a bunch of these. I know, I'm sorry. YouTubers selling poorly screen-printed, uncomfortable shirts for $25 to $30 is stupid, so this one's printed on soft style. It actually looks great up close, and it's yours for only 16 bucks. I mean, come on, it's a good deal. I also now have a bunch of patches. I don't really have a funny anecdote for this one. It's $3, shipping is cheap, get it if you want. I don't know, man. 3 things is pretty cool, but you know what's cooler than 3? 4, because I got some posters too. And by the way, these posters were designed by Spearhead. If you like this kind of video, but you want to see something that's a little bit more professional, educational, and making actual merch designs instead of dumb meme ones, then I can't recommend Spearhead's channel enough. And not only is he an actual professional and way better at making stuff than me, but you can also see the design process for this poster on his channel right now. Or in a few days, I don't know, it's hard to schedule YouTube videos. Huge thanks to everyone that was involved in this merch drop in any way. This was a huge thing for me, so thank you. Okay, that's it. But anyways, that's enough self-promotion for one video, because up next we have GrimBeard. If you don't know GrimBeard, by the way, great channel, one of my favorites, definitely has like the best intro in all of YouTube in my opinion. But his design, I just wanted to use the imagery that he typically uses, but just like kind of turn it up a notch a little bit. GrimBeard has two different logos and both of them look really cool, but I feel like they could be a little bit edgier. So I cut out the text from this one and made it all wiggly, and then I just added GrimBeard in a red font, so kind of smashing the two fonts together a bit. Get the computer from before and just do a bunch of stuff to it. His signature phrase of Goth Gamer Nation I feel like should be incorporated in some way or another, but it just doesn't look super good. So I thought it'd be kind of cool if it was an error message instead, but honestly either one is good or neither. I'm not quite sure which one is best. But yeah, there we go. It looks pretty cool in my opinion. Up next we have Filthy Frank. For this one I didn't want it to rely on any images. I wanted it to be entirely text based and kind of like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy type vibes. So I type out Filthy Frank, give it a nice pink and black drop shadow, add some pink dripping off of the T and pooling at the bottom of Frank, and do some bad Google Translate that roughly translates to when the world needed him most, he disappeared. And there we go. There we have it. That's the design. This one's okay. It's not that good. It's not that bad, but it does kind of nail the Grim Adventures look that I was hoping to achieve. Up next is a design for Steve Wallis. I'm not sure how much overlap people who watch my stuff and people watch his stuff there are, but if you don't know him, he does a lot of like cool stealth camping stuff. It's really fun and mildly illegal. It's a good time. For the background, I went with a nice kind of naturey army green. Got a nice ominous photo of him being cold out in the rain. Set the blend mode to subtract. Add a nice Steve Wallis on top of him using a very like tree branch looky font. And for this one I couldn't figure out what the tagline should be. I was stuck between hunker down forever and stealth camping in your walls, and this one made me laugh more, so this is the design. Steve, if you're watching this, I hope you like the design, dude. Up next we have everyone's favorite original content creator, Sniper Wolf. Now I'm sure you're aware Sniper Wolf has gotten in trouble a handful of times for stealing and doxing and stealing. So for this design, we're gonna start off with her mugshot, do the same thing that I did to Jerma, add a second, more evil looking version, and add the text, being a decent person. Oh, hell no. This one's fun. It's a nice analog horror type thing, but I wasn't too happy with it. So I made a different version with a much nicer logo and the text, your content will be assimilated. She knows where you live and she is outside. I was trying to go with a very like MeatCanyon-esque type story implication where she's like an unfathomable being who knows where everyone lives and she assimilates her content, your content, and becoming like the hive mind of content. I don't know. There's a story there. I don't know if these designs do it justice, but you get the point. But speaking of Sniper Wolf and getting in trouble, a lot of YouTubers do tend to get in trouble for doing something pretty bad at some point. And I kind of wanted to make at least one more design making fun of someone, like a Colleen Ballinger ukulele thing, or like a Chris Chan design or something. But I think we can all agree that there's a fine line between going too far and poking fun at someone who kind of deserves it a little bit. So naturally, I wanted to go with PewDiePie. And what comes to mind when you think of PewDiePie? That's right, a bridge. I want a very like photocopy-esque, like power violency type looking design. So we're gonna add a paper texture and mess with the contrast. Get the PewDiePie text and warp it a little bit. And for the tagline, I went with career killer, mostly because it sounds cool, but also because yeah, it's pretty bad. And there we have it. It's both kind of funny and looks kind of cool, so I like it. Up next is a design for Phillip DeFranco. Some of you may have noticed that somehow throughout this video I haven't made a really cool skeleton shirt design yet, but that ends now. We're gonna start with a skeleton playing the guitar because nothing screams Phillip DeFranco like this image. Add some text with a really just kind of bad looking gradient. The style I'm trying to emulate here is like a really bad rock band's first t-shirt design that's really poorly screen printed. That's what I'm going for here. And the tagline for this one was extremely obvious in my opinion. It's in today's news, F*** your mom. Mr. DeFranco, if you see this and you want this shirt design, go for it. Up next is a design for the yoga ball gamer himself, Nakeyjakey. The color palette for this one is light blue because that's like what he usually uses to outline himself with in his thumbnails. We're going to start off with this image of Sisyphus constantly rolling a boulder up a hill, but replace the boulder with a blue yoga ball. We're going to add Nakeyjakey up top in the kinda awful looking Thin Worms font, and right underneath it add yoga ball gamer. This one is not that good looking, but it's kind of fun one, and who cares? These aren't real shirt designs, so I'm leaving. I'm happy with it. It's fine. But speaking of not good shirt designs, I'm not even going to tell you who this one is. It's really simple. Have you figured it out yet? What about now? Alright, nope, it's Maggie May Fish. Look, not all the designs are gonna be good. Some are just gonna be stupid, but I can live with that. For this next one, I'm gonna switch it up a bit and do a hat design. This design is gonna be for Tobuscus, which if you don't know, got accused of a bunch of stuff and then decided to immediately fall headfirst down the alt-right pipeline. And mentally, he seems to be doing, like, really, like, not good, like pretty unhinged. So this design is just gonna be make Tobuscus go to therapy, like Jesus Christ, man, because yikes. But anyways, moving away from that fall from grace, we have Hbomberguy. If you're unaware of his videos, he did a really great video on the Roblox oof sound effect that just goes completely off the rail. It's so good. It's one of my favorite video essays on the entire platform. But using that as a jumping off point, we're going to get Tommy Tallarico, if you know, you know. And we're also going to get this lovely thumbnail of him, and we're going to split their faces together. The color palette for this one's going to be red and black, so we're going to mess around with that, and we're also going to add the Roblox heads, just because I feel like, based off of that video, now his face is forever tied with Roblox, so we're just gonna have those be there. Add some text over top, rasterize the text, erase the bottom, extend the H and the Y so that it kind of holds the rest of the design, and add a splatter effect on top, and there we have it. I would say use this design if you want, but if you do, I'm pretty sure Tommy will hunt you down and sue you, so maybe not for this one. Jacob Geller, one of the best video essayists on the platform. That's difficult to say. I wasn't sure which photo of him to use since they're both pretty cool, but I wanted to make like a very like early 90s, like a very popular goth rock band's first ever shirt design when they're small. Like that's very specific, but that's kind of the vibe I'm trying to go for. So I get his face, blow it up nice and big, and add some gradient on top. Fill in his eyelids with black so you don't get any glimmer. Add some text down the side. Make the text black, add a drop shadow to it, and then make a stroke around it with purple. The key to making the stroke look extra nice is to change the position from the outside, where it's all very like kind of bland and normal, to inside. So you get like it makes it look more skinny and jagged almost. And there you have it. This one's stupid also, but who cares? Move along. Up next, we have Smosh. This one's kind of lazy. I basically did it in reverse. I just added a nice Smosh font. The tagline would obviously have to be "Shut up," and I just needed something kind of like cool and hardcore to like put in it, so I just went with a mouth being sewn up. It's lazy. It's not that good, but it's not that bad either, so I don't know. I like it. It's good enough. Up next is Dead Meat, and this one is also a very simple design. Just dead meat up in red up at the top, a bunch of scratchy tally marks in the middle, and at the bottom just kill count the numbers, because it's like it's a thing that they do. This one's also mediocre, but it's good enough. Up next, we have Brittany Broski. This one was very difficult to do a design for, but I'm very happy with it. I really love her whole like aesthetic when it comes to the advertising of her podcast, so I wanted to base it off of that a little bit. So I get her logo, which honestly I'm not a fan of. I think that having 3 different fonts is a little bit weird, so I just drop off the, so it's just 2 fonts, which makes it a little bit better. And I needed a good photo of her, so I found this one, which just nailed. It's so good. So I cut her out into an oval because I feel like ovals are very like a 50s type graphic design thing. I'm not really sure why. There's already enough tones of red and yellow going on in this photo, so we're going to have the background be turquoise. Obviously this doesn't look that good, but we're just going to get a photo of an old 50s background. Change the blend mode to darken, and there you go. It looks a little bit better. And this looks great, but I'm really not happy that I accidentally cut out the like fake unlit cigarette that she was holding. So I add that back in, and I add some fake smoke to top it off. And there you go. This design, although simple and pretty amateur looking, does kind of go hard in my opinion. I like it at least. Up next is design for MeatCanyon. For this one, I wanted it to be a very like Black Flag-esque type design. I'm not really sure why. It just feels like it's so simple, it's begging to be messed with a little bit. So we get the Black Flag font and add MeatCanyon. And I felt like because he's an animator, it could be layers of layers of layers of like, you know, like animation stuff, but I don't really know animation software, so I just went with Photoshop layers. And like it's okay. I think it's like the idea is there, but it's just not very good, but oh well, it's fine. They can't all be winners. Another idea that works in theory but isn't really that good in execution is this one I did for Tom Scott. You know, he goes around and explores cool, interesting places and talks about it, so I felt like it'd be fun if he visited a building that was just his name, and he's at the bottom. I'm here at the Tom Scott Video Museum. It's like, it's kind of funny, but it mostly just sucks. Up next is design for Cold Ones, and I wanted to have a very like chilly, old school death metal-y type feel to it. And no better band captures that feeling quite like Frozen Soul, so I'm just gonna steal their design. We're gonna cut out their logo. I always liked logos where it's like super sketchy underneath and then like legible font is stacked on top, so I want to do something with that. So I have this with Cold Ones just stacked right on top. And this looks fine, but I wanted to fill in this space a little bit more, so also stealing from Frozen Soul again, we're gonna use this design, slap it on both sides, and there we go, we're done. You can tell I'm running out of steam a little bit, but don't worry because I got one more and I'm really proud of it. Lastly, we have Lemon. He originally started off as like, I think the most successful YouTube poop person on YouTube. So basing the design off of his YouTube poop origin, first we gotta start with a toilet. We also have to incorporate some green and some purple spiraling since he likes that imagery a lot. I thought it'd be fun since like YouTube poop and downward spiral if it was spiraling in a toilet. So I added some noise, messed with the levels a bit, and then it ends up looking pretty good, but it could look a little bit better. So I add a little drop shadow just to give it a little bit more depth. And then I add Lemon on top, make it nice and big, make it black and white. I know the fleshy eyes sort of seems like a weird choice, but to me it was supposed to represent like having a whole bunch of eyes be on you over an extended period of time, because I know how weird that can be when it comes to making stuff. But we're not done, because then I fill in all the eyes with the same shade of purple and green. And I know what you're thinking, Tyler, that looks bad, and I hear you, but there's a really easy way to make it look good. You change the blend mode to multiply, and there you have it. I don't really know if Lemon has any merchandise, but if he's interested in this one, I'd be more than happy to let him have it. And there we have it. That's a whole bunch of different bootleg merch designs that I did totally for free instead of doing something productive. Even though this video is totally just for the fun exercise of making stuff, if anyone watching wants to buy any one of these or just steal the idea, that's totally fine. Just give me a little bit of credit and it's all yours. If you know any of the creators who were featured in this video, I would really appreciate it if you could show it to them, just because I think it'd be fun. Anyways, that's it. Buy the merch if you want. If not, that's cool. Follow me on stuff if you want, but if not, that's cool. Anyways, that's it. Love you, bye.